Wow, we would have never believed this. You can listen to us on our podcast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Google. Go out there and listen to us when you're driving to work, or maybe when you're just sitting at home, or you're on the treadmill at the gym. Go on out there and listen to our podcast. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
It can be anything. It can be walking in the gym and walking a mile on the treadmill. Or whatever, just do it.
The hardest lift is the one off the couch.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
Preach it, Steve. Hey, we're here today. I'm here with my friend Steve Southers, owner of Sportslanders West. Man, you got to check him out if you're interested in muscles. And my friend Mike Green. And we're talking about muscle matters because they do matter. And there's matters that include muscles. So glad you tuned in. Something new that we're doing here. And I'm always glad to sit across from Steve until I look at his big biceps. And I'm like, man, I think I might have had those before, but not sure they were that big. So Steve, you're the proof in the pudding, brother.
Yeah, something like that, huh?
Yeah, you are. You are. I love it. Got a new pair of kicks on there. And so
yeah, somebody bought a new program.
So I was going to say, does somebody have a new program?
Yeah, somebody's learning how to eat better.
I love it because he doesn't charge real currency when he trains people. He wants a new pair of shoes. Check his shoes out.
I love it. Yeah, I've seen him on the way in.
He's got awesome. Men are kick guys, right?
We are. We totally are. Yep.
So.
I used to do it for free, but people didn't respect free. I don't know what it is.
What is that, Steve?
They have to have a buy-in, right?
They had to. Yeah. And when I was like, well, I don't want your money because I enjoy doing this. And I was like, oh, I love shoes. Yeah. All right, take care of this addiction.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have your girl on you then.
Yes.
And do you? No, I'm sorry, Steve. Does that blend over into other areas, like watches or?
I have a good watch collection.
Yeah, why is that? Why is that about dudes, Mike? I know. Women forgive us. I don't know. It's just part of it.
And I have a toy collection.
Oh well, I love this guy because he does a lot of the. What's that?
I said that's men too.
Yeah, I love it with Steve because he's a jock on the outside, nerd on the inside because he loves to go to Comic-Con and dress up. The mermaid thing I thought was a good deal because he did it because somebody. What's the guy's name? Jason
Momoa. Yeah.
Mimosa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I love it.
Definitely has some muscles.
Supposed to be He-Man for Halloween.
Is he? Oh, really? Are you? Yeah. Well, you're fit in the role, brother. Yeah, I turned in my He-Man a long time ago.
Yeah, there's the correlation right there.
I turned that in a long time ago. This guy's got me beat. So we're glad we're here today. We're here with Mike. And Mike does some things that you may just not think by looking at Mike. And Mike, as you came out, we talked about on Ministry Matters. We talked about how Mike got into ministry with the Wounded Warrior Project and got involved with guys, and that's a show that you need to watch. We done a lunch break on him, and you have to go back a while back, but you've interviewed on Veterans Day and July. But Mike, what got you back into fitness or to doing the normal things after your injury?
It was actually the Wounded Warrior Project that introduced those things. When I got injured back in 2005, you had a lot of physical injuries. You had a lot of amputations, people, burns, just a lot of physical stuff. And it slowly changed because the armor on the vehicles got better and better. But they introduced me to it. So you're laid up in a hospital bed, in my case, missing an arm, but you got guys that are missing both legs in some cases. And, they think, what am I going to do? And, a couple months later, you're out skiing or whatever. I think the first thing I went on was in Aspen, Colorado. They took us whitewater rafting. And we did rock climbing, and you had a bunch of amputees rock climbing. You're like, what the hell are we going to do? Well, then the guy you've all probably heard of, I'm going to butcher his name, hopefully not. Aaron Rostel, I think his name is.
At least Mike's not here to correct you.
He was the guy in the movie. Again, I'll probably butcher this too. However many hours, he cut his own arm off when he was rock climbing.
Yeah.
You can look him up. So I'm going to butcher the name of the movie and his name. But he was there, and he was below the elbow amputee. He had a prosthetic, and he was climbing upside down on this mountain, on this beautiful, wherever we're at, elevation up in Aspen, it's probably 10,000 feet or something crazy like that. And he's climbing upside down. And we just thought, dude, and they had people belaying for us. And we're rock climbing. We're getting introduced to things. And then shortly after that, they had me skiing down a mountain. You had blind skiers. You had skiing on a monoski, double leg amputees. They had me on another event doing some water skiing. They had this harness that hooked up, and because that takes some muscle. And speaking of muscle, sitting next to these guys, he asked me to come do Muscle Matters. But anyways, it was just getting you introduced to things, and from that point on, I just kind of took it and ran with it. I do scuba diving. I taught myself how to play guitar again with one arm. I played pretty much my whole life, and seeing a guy on YouTube do that, and different things motivate you, right? And then I had other veterans who were doing scuba diving. And I'm like, and if you don't know scuba diving, you have to do everything underwater, and you have to learn whether it's, you know, messing with your gear, if your mask falls off or something happens, you have to know how to do things. So it's kind of challenging. My wife will say, "Hey, can you do that?" I'm like, if I could fix a thing underwater with scuba diving, I could figure this out. But to kind of, like I said, took the ball running with it. Did snowboarding. I started surfing with the veterans group down in San Diego, and then honed that skill a little bit better right before my son was born a few years ago, going down to Pismo and surfing with another veterans group. And this time I'm actually riding waves where I can get up and actually turn on the wave, not just ride the whitewash and go down. So it's just one of those things that you get out there and, you know, life goes on. You know, you're doing these things, you just do them differently. And that's what almost everything has been, whether it's physical. Like people that are in the fitness game usually, oh, leg day. Me, because I don't have to adapt much, I'm like, I love leg day. Like going in and killing legs, you know. And so
that'd be a new one, right, Steve? Where does your mind go when you see that? And you might deal with this more than I do, but I really have respect for those guys who come in and they're still doing it after, say, an accident or something like that.
What I get is the fact that you can let go. I mean, it's a lot of people can't let go. You see a lot of people that if something's tragic and they're still hanging on, like from 1985, you're like, let it go. There's, you know, you have proven that there's new adventures in life, and you've gone out and you've expired, and you're like, hey, there's other adventures out there. There's other ways to get that adrenaline rush that we want as men, and it's not gone. It was a hiccup.
Yeah. It's got to be modified slightly.
Yes.
Loves leg day. Now, how often do you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I kill it.
He does. I saw you there.
I'm by no means hitting insane weights or anything like that. But what I'm doing, I mean, I'm doing squats on the Smith machine. I'm doing leg press and then the leg extensions, all the thing, running through it, you know. And I absolutely, I don't like it 2 days later if I haven't done it in a while. But I love the feeling going in there because I don't feel I don't have to adapt anything, or I don't. Actually, for my residual limb here, what I started doing, and this was from a Special Forces Green Bray who lost an arm and a leg, and this is how it usually happens with stuff. I seen him online doing something. He takes an ankle cuff, puts it around here, hooks it up to a cable machine, so you can do chest, you can do shoulder, you can do back and rows and stuff. And I actually have a cable machine in my garage that I've been neglecting, but when I do that, that's what I use. And just seeing these guys and people in these situations, go, I never even thought about that, but such a good idea, and I can do most of the stuff still.
You got to be creative. So it's not like you have to have you have everything together.
Yeah.
You know, it's just being out and doing that. Do people come to you in the gym and say, hey, can I help you or anything like that? Or
not most of the time, no. It's maybe if I'm picking up like a 45 or something, I got to lift it up higher. I'll use like the Smith machine. I'll take that and put it down, you know, just picking that up there. But no, for the most part, not really. And this is something I was talking with someone the other day that's intimidated to walk into a gym. You're like, well, I don't know how to use this machine, or I don't know how to do that. And I feel like I'm out of shape and all eyes are on me. And if you really look around, nobody's looking at you. Nobody's looking at you. And if they're a decent person, and if you're in there and you are out of shape, they're probably going, good for him or good for her. But most people, if you look up when you're working, they ain't looking at you. They're focused on their workout
and
themselves.
If they are looking at you, they're not really looking at you.
Yeah, right.
The brain is long gone.
Yeah, right. Right.
You'll see the dudes checking out the girls at 5, right? If you go during the 5 to 7 shift.
Yeah, the meat market.
Yeah.
my thing, I told my wife this not long ago, was like when I started going again, just after, you know, falling out. It's so easy to fall out and so difficult to get back in the grind, right? And I seen these guys, and I'm just doing like 25s, you know, dumbbells or something in it. And instead of feeling like, dang, I got a 25, this guy's got, you know, a 45 or what, instead of feeling like that, I'm going, that's motivation. Like, yeah, you know, looking at this guy, and I'll get there soon, you know?
And that's really what it has to be. There again, as you look at Steve, he is that epitome of that's what I want to look like.
Yeah.
I want the traps, I want the arms, you know, and I still do too, because that's a imagery I had when I was younger. But when you're able to applaud somebody else on, like you said, say I want to get there. I'm not chasing that, because Steve has got a great physique. He's got some bulls for calves. You know, we don't call them calves, we call them bulls, or herd, one or the other. Yeah, but I'm just saying, he's got great genetics. And so as you see Steve going, you're probably going to expect a little more out of him. Yeah. You're going to see him bench on there, and he's got like, I think 4 wheels and a quarter on both sides. And I don't care how long ago that was, Steve, way to go. So we're going to take a moment and cut to our sponsor.
What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about this haka right here. This is my pre-workout. My design. I figured this one out myself. And what it's going to do is going to blast your socks off. What it is, it's a throwback to the good old 1990s DMA-powered, inspired pre-workouts. If you want to go, grow, this is the one that make you go, and it will make you grow. It is loaded with nothing but pump products. Haka, is it in ya?
Love it.
I love that. Wow, you worked that out with our producer. It looks like he wasn't shocked with that. But haka, do you do the haka when you? Yes. I've seen you do the haka.
Yes. It will make you want to do that war dance. It will make you make all those lovely faces when it kicks in.
I love that.
I love that. Probably not good for my heart, right?
No.
I got it. He is my balance. He's my balance. I'm interested in the dad bod, and we'll talk about that later. But I don't know if I can do the dad bod. Can I do the dad bod?
We will have to talk about that one later.
Yeah. Okay. I just got my heart issue. You know that one.
Yeah.
So what is your new adventure, Mike? You talked to me about the other day, and tell the audience what you're.
So just like I told you guys before, this it comes from seeing other people and going, hey, I've been a fan of mixed martial arts since back in the day with, the old school fighters from pretty much from UFC 1, but then I even started getting into it when it was what was it, Tim Silva and like the. Who was it? Chuck Liddell, like when those guys in their prime, and Tito Ortiz, and the OGs, the OGs, right? Where really loved it. I'd go rent the pay-per-view in my aunt's house in my cousin's little room when I was still in the army. I'd come home for leave or something like that. But I've always been a fan of mixed martial arts. And then after losing my arm, I told my wife, I was like, if they ever do arm transplants, I'm fighting MMA. Until I seen one live and said, nope. Anyways.
That's what I love about this guy, Steve. It reminds me of you. There's no red lights.
No, there's some one-arm guys that fight even, and there's Nick Newell. I think he's missing about the wrist. He fights almost knocking people out. Anyways, I've always been a fan of mixed martial arts, and the ground game I used to see when they do that, like, this is boring, until probably about 5-6 years ago, and it's just gotten more advanced, and the announcer's telling you what they're doing. So jiu-jitsu, I was like, man, this looks really fun, but I never thought I'm gonna walk in. I'm almost 40. I'm not in the shape I want to be, and that's probably a lot of people's excuses for trying something new. And it was actually Mike Springstead started training jiu-jitsu, and I just
so Mike got you in.
So actually, I said something. He goes, oh, well, I got jiu-jitsu that day, and I was like, jiu-jitsu? When did you start training? And he's like, oh, not long ago. I was like, dude, I'm gonna try it. And anyways, he said, well, I'll be out of town, but I'll be back Thursday or something. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to wait for him to be my safety net.
That.
I'm going to walk in there and I'm just going to do it. And I've heard our instructor, shout out to DEF CON Jiu-Jitsu on District Boulevard. Yeah. Amazing gym. No egos.
We're unashamedly publicity.
Yeah, plugging it. DEF CON Jiu-Jitsu. But anyways, I'm like, I'm not going to wait for Mike. And our coach said, he said that usually the hardest belt to get is the white belt that you start off as, because you just got to walk in the doors and get in there.
Steve probably can speak to that, right? Getting somebody.
It's a humbling experience.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? I've been doing it for now going on 3 months, where I walked in and it was, you don't have to roll at the end of class. You do your instruction in 90 minutes or hour, whatever it is. But if you choose to, you can roll at the end, which for those of you who don't know, rolling, it's just basically wrestling with somebody for 5 minutes with jiu-jitsu. And I got people that are 50 pounds lighter than me sweeping me and throwing me out, and I'm like, what is that? And my wife's like, wait a minute, you have people choking you out, and you want to go back there?
They have no problem getting on the one arm guy, right?
No, and it's nothing to do with one arm. I should still beat this person who I outweigh by 50 pounds, and they're throwing me around like nothing, and then I'm getting choked out, and I'm like, I love this. So I just started.
Isn't that dude, Steve?
Yes. No, I'm laughing because when I used to roll, I'd be rolling and the black belt would close his eyes and I'd be like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Your eyes are closed. What are you going to do now? I don't know, because you just closed your eyes. That means I messed up real bad somewhere.
Yeah. It's awesome. So I've been rolling for about 3 months now, and the same guys in the beginning that were easily choking me out, I can defend it now, because before, hey, I didn't know what's the defense for that. But you learn those things. I always say this, download that. I learned in class, I learned from rolling, and now I'm even submitting some guys, and it's such a good feeling. And I've always been a humble winner and a humble loser. So, I mean, it's just, you choke someone out or whatever, you give them a slap, but on the way home, I'm banging that steering wheel. I'm yelling out, like, dude, I got this. It pumps me up. And
the guy that he beats going home, his wife's like, so how'd it go?
Damn one-arm guy submitted me again. No, that's the great thing
I
about
love that. But there again, we're guys.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk about that
Yeah.
because
How many times have they gone and they're reaching for the anchor and the anchor's not there?
Yep.
Then you're just laughing, going.
So no, it was funny.
There's that side escape.
So I got this guy in mount. For those of you who don't understand, I'm straddling his stomach. I'm on top. It's a dominant position. So he's trying to buck me off. And what you do is you do that so somebody posts and put their hand on the ground. Well, the instructor's telling the guy on the bottom, hey, he doesn't have a post on one side. He bucks me to the side where I do have a post. He's all wrong side. He doesn't have fuck him that way. He doesn't have a post. But the guy it didn't even dawn on him. He just probably went what was comfortable.
The moment you said that, I was like, I can imagine how many 10 times you won somebody because that's the side you want to get out of.
Yep.
That's where everybody wants to leak.
Yep.
And there's no hook. I'm exposed.
Yep. Well, then they forget too that this is not just sitting there. And that's why I told my wife. She calls it my nub, my residual limb. She's like, so have you used your nub yet? And I'm like, of course. So if I'm doing a guillotine, whatever, I'm using that leverage, or if I'm just holding it if I'm training in the gi, I'll hold the gi there. I mean, I'm using it as much as I can, blocking stuff, and
I love that, Mike. Well, and so you found out that physical fitness, muscles still do matter.
Oh, it's
and you're having fun with it too.
Mentally, and that's what a lot of people forget about. Mentally, working out, and you everybody's heard, it releases endorphins and you go out, that runner's high. That's not a mythical thing. That's reality. Real. That's science. It's true. I go and do jiu-jitsu for an hour and a half and then roll with people at the end, and I'm exhausted. I mean, it's like somebody poured a bucket of water on me, just drenched in sweat. For if you haven't wrestled for even 1 minute, you know how exhausting it really is. But I come out of there just like I said, to the victories pumped up, but even in the defeats, which I'm most of the time, it's the defeats, I'm getting my butt kicked. But you come out of there with just such a good feeling.
It's there's not a lot of places you can open your savagery up with other savages, and just be like, cool, we can high five and enjoy life afterwards because I was able to do some savage type of things and just open the gas tank up and relieve myself where I'm dead. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. It's all out.
Yeah.
All that testosterone is over there in a pile of sweat.
It's funny because I told my wife
the way you said that, Steve.
Yeah, I told my wife this too.
My mind's going.
Right. I said at one point, and this is going to make me sound like not a man's man, but it's just, our faces together. This guy's gross sweat all over me. And I go, and instead of going, man, this is disgusting, which, your mind goes to just somebody sweating all over that you don't even know. I'm like, this is what men do.
Yeah.
This is what men do. And because I joke with people too. I say, I'm not your man's man. I say that. I was like, the most manly thing about me, besides being in the military, was now I do jiu-jitsu. I joke on that. So I'm not like that type. But if you're at all thinking you're on the fence for something, I just posted this not long ago about my journey with jiu-jitsu because I'm 3 months in of just try something. It doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu. It can be anything. It can be walking in the gym and walking a mile on the treadmill. Or whatever, just do it.
The hardest lift is the one off the couch.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Preach it, Steve.
I love that.
And people just, it's one of the weirdest things you hear people say. I'll call you when I'm in shape.
Yeah.
What is that?
But don't you need me to get you there? I mean, it's the oddest thing here. It'd be like, hey, I'll come back to jiu-jitsu when I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll when I'm better. Well, isn't that why the coach is there?
How you gonna get better?
Just gonna magically get them stripes, huh?
Yeah.
Church is the same way, right? Like, I'm gonna do this before I go there.
Yeah. I'm gonna get people
Get
come
my
to
life
me all
clean
the time.
before I go to church.
Yes. Yeah. I'll serve when I'm okay. I'm like, well, then I'm not qualified either.
Yeah.
Yep.
None of us are.
Yep. Mike got me into trouble when he came and started serving at our Cal State campus because he went out to the parking lot, and so people were mad at me coming in the building going, hey, I want to talk to the person in charge. I go, that'd be Pastor Tom. People come in and go, hey, couldn't you find something else for the guy out in the parking lot with the one arm? And I go, so you don't know anything about Mike. He's out there helping Noel and Rod. And I go, don't look at that one arm gone as a handicap for Mike Green. He's out there and he's contributing. But it was funny, their impression of me, that I'm a bad pastor because I need to find something else for this person to do. And I'm like,
I just wanted to be involved. I was like, I don't care what you got from me. Where do you need me?
Yes, and that's what I love about Mike's attitude. And isn't that funny? Because as you're out there, you should not base things on how you feel, right, Steve? And what you have a preconceived idea, you got to experience it yourself.
Well, life is not about everybody getting a participation award. That's the unfortunate thing.
Unfortunately.
You know what? Jocko Willick, and I think I'll probably say the last name wrong. You guys know Jocko, former Navy SEAL.
I've heard of it,
Always
yes.
motivational stuff. He says this. He gets up and he always posts on his Instagram. It's just 4:30 on his watch. That would be the picture. But what's up with this? Just he's showing you. I get up every day at 4:30. But he had this video online of something about motivation to go to the gym, and he said it's not every day. I don't get up every day motivated. It's about discipline. Discipline's different from motivation. He goes, if I only went to the gym when I was motivated, I'd go probably once or twice a month. It's about
be
discipline.
Able to say this, Tom, who really wants to squat till they puke?
Nobody.
But did you have to?
Yes.
Every single time?
Yes. You
Squat
can't.
till you, that's not one I'm familiar with. Squat till I puke.
The
The military, we'd run till we puke or something like that. But
It's
yeah,
the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, yep.
A lot of the real gyms that Steve trains at, they'll have a trash can.
Gotcha.
It's not to throw your trash in; it's to vomit in, because you have this mentality, and it's so interesting when you're around that mentality. You adapt that mentality, and so it's like you said, Mike. You see somebody do it, you're going to do it. You see somebody doing 45 pounds, it's not like, oh, it's like I can get there.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing you tell people, right, Steve? The body's made to adapt. And
the mind goes way before the body goes.
Yes, it does.
The mind's like, I don't want to do this no more.
Yes. And if you listen to it,
You're
you'll
done.
fall into it. Hey, we're going to get another timeout for our sponsor, and I think we have him right here.
Oh.
Sponsor.
Hey, here I am. There we go. Come on, come on down to Sportland West. We are located at 7420 District Boulevard. If you're unfamiliar with District Boulevard, we're across the street from Nestle. Everybody knows Nestle. It's been around since 1905. It's a great big building on District Boulevard, right off Gosford area and the White Lane area. Come on by, check us out. We will be there.
And they will not mislead you. I guarantee you. This guy's the real deal, and you won't be misled. So I love that, Steve. I love your energy because I just got pumped up.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. Talking about jiu-jitsu gets me pumped up. And then the muscles. Tom asked me to do muscle matters. I'm like, have you seen my arm?
Well, that's the crazy thing when it comes to jits. When I rolled, I was a 600-pound lifter.
Wow.
But I'd get choked out.
Technique, right?
Yes. And it was, like I said, I would roll.
Yeah.
And it was fun, and I had a great time. But then I'd look up and be like, oh, crap, I got choked out.
Yeah.
And it was just
muscle can only take you so far for the technique, right?
Yes, it was, and it's not a game of checkers; it's a game of chess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's so cool because I'm sure Steve was able to attribute that to his profession. He was a bouncer, very good bouncer, and his body size shows it. You had to sharpen your skills,
Of course.
right?
Yeah, it's funny. Captain Mochismo, if you're watching, I'm gonna throw you under the bus. Tom Little was a great, big, strong man.
Yes, he was.
And he had to let those muscles go to get that black belt.
Yes.
Kids, Tom would just get up and walk away with somebody, but it didn't teach him anything. He'd just get up and be like, no, I'm not getting choked out, and walk away.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny because we're going to have Tommy on Muscle Matters. And it's going to be fun with Tom. We're just talking about a friend of ours. So Mike, is there anything that you would want to leave somebody with? With that?
Yeah. I would say,
Okay.
Yeah, I would say leave people with this. Just like I talked about earlier, if you're on the fence with something, we talked about this in another show about ministry, just jumping in, do it. You don't have to be qualified. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be in the perfect shape. If you're thinking about something, whether it's a hobby, whether it's getting to the gym, I love what you said, Steve. What'd you say the biggest step is? Stepping off the couch.
Yes.
I love that. And that's that. I think that can correlate to a lot of things in life, but especially with exercising and getting out there. And you guys know this better than anybody probably too. It's the mental side of it that comes first. You don't see the changes physically as quickly as you do mentally. You start feeling so much better before you start looking better, right? If your goal is to lose weight or muscle, whatever, you start feeling better long before you start seeing the results.
Mike Harvey, our producer here, the other day, he always asked me, do I work out? We filmed an episode and we did it real early. And I go, yeah, I've already worked out. Filmed my TikTok, and I was here to do a show. And he goes, why? I go, you have to experience it to do it. So he worked out in the morning on Friday, and he came to Starbucks. He goes, I don't need coffee. I'm hyped. I go, that's why you did it early.
Yep.
And that's the feeling that you're looking for, getting out there, getting the endorphins rolling. And if that's the only reason you do it, it might just be worth it to get off the couch, to commit. And I think that's important too. Is Steve, I want you to finish up and give your opinion. Is that commitment? You know, somebody may come in and look at you and they'll see the amazing lifts that you do and your amazing physique and say, I'll never get there. Now, that might be true, but how do they know? They've never started that journey, you know?
148 pounds. I remember the day I got on the scale. I was 17 years old, and I weighed 148 pounds. I still remember the day. I know exactly how much I weighed when I started my way down this journey. I just turned 17, weighed 148 pounds. I peaked out at my highest at 345.
Wow.
And it didn't happen overnight.
No.
My 20s were a waste of life because I was doing what 20-year-olds do. And then I had to discover how to do it. And it just has to be a part of you. And you just have it. Just I can sit here and talk all day about weight because I love it.
Yeah.
I love the sport.
And you know, Steve, what is that mistake, and I speak to it all the time, that people think there's a shortcut? You know, I speak into that because it's one of the things that I think people really need to understand.
My shoe thing about the nutrition plan. I remember when I was young and I wanted to know, how do you do it? And I walked up to one of the old timers in the gym and I go, hey, what's the secret? And he said, eat. And he walked away and I was like, I do eat. I was eating Taco Bell and Jack in the Box. I didn't understand food. And then when I started competing, I didn't understand rest. And once I started competing, and this is what I wanted to do, before any shortcut you think is out there,
Yes.
it's rest and food.
Yeah.
They're the top of the pyramid. If you're not sleeping, you can't rebuild, you cannot grow, you cannot do your next lift. If you're not eating, you're not going to sleep, you're not going to grow, and you can't do your next lift. There is no shortcut to it. Yeah. Meal plan. Make this one real quick. You always hear this thing, I write meal plans. Well, what is a meal plan? You're planning a meal. That means you're planning your day. If you don't have your steps planned, I mean, the steps of a good man is ordained by the Lord. So if you're not planning your steps, you're just planning to fail.
What's that? You read my mind. What's that old saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah, and so meal prep, I love it put that way because it does take time, but the good things do take time.
Yeah.
It's like you said when you learned the guitar. You know, just with one arm, he does an amazing worship too. So I love it.
I can't even play with two.
See, that's the crazy thing. There should be no
Not even
limitation.
a video game,
Right?
You know, one thing, we're all men of faith here, and if you're not, we would encourage you to find that faith in Christ. But we're all men here that I do believe don't know a boundary. And I think as you do, because Mike, your life definitely shows you've leaped into other things that there'd be no expectation for. And I think if there's a limitation you put on yourself, it should be, God, what will you equip me to do? Because that's the thing that I think people miss on is God has a crazy plan for all of us. And you have to step into it. You got to step out of the pew. Like you say, you got to step off the couch. Got to step out of the pew.
Samson killed thousands of men and looked at God and goes, well, I'm going to die of thirst now? He opened a rock and gave him something to drink.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
It's there.
I love it.
He said, you just got to go for it.
You do. What do you like to leave people with, Mike?
Just to reiterate what I said earlier, it's taking that first step. And also what you guys were just talking about, no shortcuts. Yeah. It's like how many black belts you know in any discipline get that in a year.
Yeah, that's why they give them respect.
Yeah, right.
I think Tom weighed at 10 for his. I got another friend that weighed
at
12.
Yep.
I mean, brown and stuck.
Yeah, yep.
I love that, Steve. Steve, I love doing these with you. Mike, it's always great to do ministry things with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Right on. Hey, guys, if you enjoyed the show, we're glad you did. And there again, God bless.